How's it going, guys? Bring your platoon here, and welcome back to another phenomenal game in World of Tanks Xbox One Edition. Today I'm going to be playing the K-91, a Tier 10 Russian medium tank, very newly implemented into the console version of the game. And when I say newly implemented, I really mean like it's been in the game for a few months, but not any longer than 3 months, 4 months, I don't know. So, what makes this tank good, in my opinion? Well, as you can see, 5 degrees of gun depression, and then once you go over the side of the tank, you get a whole whopping 9. That's like British good almost, instead of getting 10 degrees. But yeah, like look at this fucking profile. Over a ridge, you go over a ridge, assuming this is like the ridge line. All people can shoot back at is this turret, and yeah, you can be penned with premium relatively easily in the turret. Some places will just absorb damage, but some of it is kind of iffy. But yeah, you can bounce standard rounds, no problem in this thing. And when I say standard rounds, I of course mean heavies and mediums you'll have no problem bouncing with standard rounds off of. But as soon as like TDs start looking at you, you want to be a little more careful. Just be careful with everyone you shoot at, because honestly, heavy and medium premium can go right through this thing pretty reliably. But yeah, TDs are just a big no-no. Unless they've just fired, then unleash hell on them. The armor on it is honestly quite disappointing. It's got 40 millimeters of roof armor in the front, and as well as on the turret. If you get hit by arty in the roof of the turret, it's going to hit either the 30 millimeter spot or the 40 millimeter spot. Just don't get hit by arty. That's really all you can do in this thing. But like, despite the fact that it has little to no armor, and surprisingly has a little bit less, just the teeniest bit less camo than like the Object 140 and the Object 430U, this thing is just it's just phenomenal. Its performance is unmatched with any other Russian tank that I've played, and that's saying a lot. Like, I prefer this thing to any medium or destroyer or light tank, because I don't have any Russian light tanks, so I really shouldn't be saying that. But moving on to the gun stats, here's another reason why you should love this tank, besides the phenomenal gun depression you get. 100 millimeter, that's pretty standard for a Tier 10 Russian medium tank. You get 276 millimeters of penetration for your standard APCR rounds, which is tank destroyer awesomeness. And then you get 330 pen for your premium heat rounds, which is again pretty standard. 50 millimeters of penetration for your high explosive rounds with 420 damage instead of 320 on the APCR and heat rounds respectively. And ignore the rounds per minute, the rate of fire on this thing for now, and I'll explain that in just a second. Dispersion for this gun is 0.33 on console as well. Aim time is also 1.7. It's crazy fucking awesome, guys. It really is. Top speed is, go away, 55 kilometers an hour, and reverse speed is 20 kilometers an hour, which ensures you can get out of trouble very, very quickly over ridge lines. Oh, you poke up, and then you fuck right off. You poke up, you fuck right off. It's very peekaboomish type of, very peekaboomish type of tank, and it's just, I can't recommend it enough. It's got 410 view range, again, phenomenal. 20 degrees of gun elevation, 1950 health. I don't know if that's good or not, but whatever. Anyway, back to the rate of fire. On console, I have well, in the game you're going to see after this whole thing is over, I had on the vents. This is all for DPM. Vents, Brothers in Arms, extra combat rations, and I believe that's it. And I fired just under 7 seconds. Add a rammer to that and take off the vertical stabilizer, and you fire 6.25 seconds. 6.25 every 6.25 seconds. I don't know why I'm having an issue talking right now, but yeah, like, the DPM isn't as impressive as like the Object 140 and Object 430 on console, but honestly, it's still phenomenal, and it's got a lower profile, and it's still harder to hit, and it's got phenomenal accuracy. Like, what do you want? Oh, and did I mention that it has the highest shell velocity in the fucking game? And if that's wrong, I apologize, but I honestly think I haven't seen a higher number than that. So correct me if I am wrong, but until then, I'll stick to it. But like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I again say that you can, yeah, be premium spend in the turret and get penned, but like, it's a sniping tank. You don't want to be on flat ground unless you're just supporting your heavies and popping out when you know it's safe to pop out without taking damage, because this thing can again be penned fucking anywhere they please, especially if they're firing premium ammunition, which will honestly just ruin your day. But that's the entire armor model. Those are all the gun stats. Let's get right into the gameplay and see what this puppy can do. Alrighty, so today's game is going to be on Muravanka. It's going to be Team Destruction, my favorite game type of all time. And we're going to go field and see how well that plays out for me with my 9 degrees of gun depression. Here's a spoiler. It works out quite well. Although I will say the game kind of starts off a little weird, and you'll see that in a few minutes' time. But, yeah, like, top-tier game, there's a good amount of tier 10s, a better amount of tier 9s, and just a few tier 8s. I love this thing. I really... If there's one Russian medium tank I had to take with me to, like, I don't know, a tournament, for whatever reason I would be in one, but it'd be this one. Screw the Object 430. I love tanks with gun depression. Gun depression wins games 80 to 90% of the time. And if they don't, well then, well, I don't know. Gun depression really just turns me on. I don't know any other way to put it, really. But like, he nudged me, so I shot him. That was kind of dumb. There's really no reason to do that. I got a 27 APCR rounds, a 20 heat rounds, and a 3 high explosive loadout. I'm already spotted. That's probably from one of the light tanks. I'm not really too worried, considering I'm still in a very low profile tank and can hide my tank in a moment's notice. Okay, so there's the light tank. I'm going to waste no time getting up this little hill here. And they have no arty, which is, honestly, I completely forgot about that during this game. But yeah, no arty is always awesome. And right off the bat, we're going to see some bad RNG here. I try to hit the lower plate of the 257 there, and I bounce off the upper plate because that's just what happens. I somehow bounce off the STA-1, and he pens me because my armor is ass. This guy tries to shoot me. I unfortunately hit him right in the gun instead of anywhere else in the turret. That kind of sucked ass too. But I'm just moving on with my day, just looking for my next shots and not worrying a single bit. And then I hit him in the tracks because I am really good at the game, and I totally meant to do that. Just kidding. I got no track target hit damage for that, so that's just aces for me. But don't worry, this game's going to have a 90-degree turnaround, not a 90-degree, 180-degree turnaround, and that is going to be because I get a fucking phenomenal amount of damage by the end of this game. 10,200, in fact, combined damage. A majority of it is base. Don't you worry. I don't know if that bothers anyone else, but it does bother me. Go for the tracking shot on the AMX 65T, one of the worst tanks in the game. He goes down very quickly. Object 257 is still out. I'm using my 110 degrees around, or turret traverse, to just poke my tank out as little as possible, getting some free shots on this guy, and then he dies without me putting another shot in. I've already Where does that shot go? Where does that shot go, game? Oh, it hit the building with my .33 accuracy? Yeah, okay. Sure, game. Actually, with the extra combat rations and everything else that I have on this tank to help out its crew skills, it's probably like .3 dispersion now. So if you look early in the game, you can see that 90% of my team went to the forest, and it really doesn't matter that we have nobody defending our quote-unquote spawn, because there's nothing there to defend anyway, and they go out in the open field and push, and that lets us get free shots on literally everyone who crosses that field. Even if they get across, it really doesn't matter, because we could still use gun depression to shoot down on them from higher sloped hills in the forest, and that really doesn't matter. I'm just trying to slow that T-57 down, trying to get some free assisted damage, because I do shoot still very quickly, just under 7 seconds, as I mentioned previously, and that means I have the optics, vertical stabilizer, and another bad shot for RNG's sake there, and yeah, I have optics, vertical stabilizer, and vents for this loadout. I took off the vertical stabilizer and added a gun rammer in place of it because now my gun, my reload time is now 6.25 seconds. So that's crazy. And I very easily destroy that Versailles. I don't know what the hell he was thinking leading the charge there, but good on him for having balls of steel there. And I just want to make sure this T-57 dies because this mouse just does not take the hint and just loves taking hits. So I kind of want him dead, the T-57, before our mouse dies because it doesn't look like he's going to last much longer. Finally, my shots start going where I aim them, and I repetitiously put shot after shot into him. And then, for some reason, that pens the side of the IS-7's chassis. Don't know how that worked. I'm just trying to pen his, like, cone in the front there, but for some reason it keeps going into the chassis, into where the tracks are, and I'm getting sick of bouncing. Like, I bounced this shot. Okay, game. Whatever you say. So I load the heat, because I'm going to look down on him and shoot right onto his pike nose there with ease with heat. Not a problem anymore, and I shoot twice for every time he shoots once, so I'm going to make his day a living hell by penning him every just under 7 seconds, and he's going to keep missing me because of the low profile of my tank, while his friends try to assist him, yet cannot, because, again, very low profile, and I just keep putting shot into him, because I've almost used up all of my APCR ammo, either missing or just not penning shots. It's very frustrating. I should probably trade off or take off some of the APCR rounds, but honestly, I don't think I'll need those high explosive rounds. At the same time, I can't bring myself to take them off either because I do like getting high rolls on Waffly 100s, so that's unfortunate. Speaking of unfortunate, the Super Conqueror just can't seem to get a fucking break. Sneaky light tank trying to get by me, that's not gonna fucking happen. Finish him off, and I put one more shot into the Super Conqueror, only to be absorbed into his side spaced armor, because that's just the way the game works. Luckily, a Goranich finishes him off because he's not retarded, unlike myself. I had forgotten that I just ran out of APCR and was shooting heat. That was my bad, and that's what happens when you run out of awareness in high-pressure situations. So the T-10's over there. He's not really paying attention to me, so I still feel quite confident on this little hill here. E-100 is distracted, facing off against something. I think it's the machine, or it's a heavy tank. No, it's a medium tank at like D3, and I'm completely fine with this because I am just absolutely draining him of all of his health. He finally looks at me. Of course I bounce when he fucking stares at me flat on, and I move my tank a little bit. He kind of gives up. Oh, it's a 1-2-1. Cool. Okay. Moving on. So I've got 11 heat shells left. I gotta make them count. And what do? I rush out of here, thinking I can use all my gun depression, get some easy shots, and I bounce off a no armored, brand new tank that they just put in the game, the Canon Jagdpanzer, whatever. It's a tank destroyer. It's got no armor, and luckily the IS-7 just tracks me. I could fix my tracks right now, but I'm like, nah, I think I'll wait just in case I get ammo racked or tracked again. Or get my ammo rack damaged. Look at this brilliant shot by me. Yeah, nice miss. Go me. Luckily, this T-10 is on a single hit, so I take him out very quickly with, 330 heat. You're not going to bounce off even spaced armor with that thing. And then, once again, I don't aim my shot, and I bounce off the opposite side of the STI in which I was aiming. So, that's pretty depressing. However, he doesn't get another shot into me, and I just use my gun depression once again to turn around, well, my speed and my gun depression to turn around quickly, get a free shot into his lower plate. I don't know what the fuck he was aiming at there. He must have a damaged gun, but he's the last tank of the game, and I get the final shot off for a whopping 10,300 damage combined game. Close to 2,400 damage combined. But, Jesus. What a game. I made some stupid mistakes there, and I did pay for it, but honestly, this is the best game I've ever had in a Russian medium tank. Hats off. Like, this is great. Yeah, the base damage could have been higher, but, like, all that assisted damage helps out a lot, and that's where the 410 view range of this thing really comes into play, especially when you have optics as well as extra combat rations on, because why not? If you spot tanks for your team, they shoot them, and because your view range is already outrageously out there, just like completely maxed out, not only do you have maxed out view range, but you also lower the camo values of the enemy tanks trying to hide, because that's just what happens when you go beyond the max view range. So, hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. I certainly did. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.